Last weekend, I attended the British Watchmakers show down in London. I handled hundreds of incredible watches made by the very best British watch brands. Today, I'll be taking you through the standouts from the show, getting hands-on with watches like the Christopher Ward Bel Canto and Studio Underdog Pizza, and why you should seriously be considering some of these British watches for your collection. First of all, British watchmaking is back. Yes, our watch industry has been a sleeping giant, but it's starting to awake. I was just so shocked at the sheer amount of British watches at the show. And I since found out that there's now over 80 brands that are part of the British Watchmakers Club. The British watchmaking scene is so exciting right now, and long may it continue. And part of that is down to you. Yes, everybody who attended the show, anyone who's ever bought a watch from a British brand, you are helping grow this industry, so thank you. Now firstly, I couldn't possibly attend the British Watchmakers show and not have a British watch brand on my wrist. Now I've had a few in the past from Christopher Ward, Mr. Jones, Enquiries, but I wanted to get something by a brand that I've not tried in the past. Now, at the last watch event I attended, Isotope really caught my eye. I love their unique design language and bold use of colours, so I picked myself up this older Isotope model for the show. Now I won't try and pronounce the name of this watch because, well, I'm a notorious butcher, so I'll just call it the Isotope Compressor. This was actually one of the first ever watches from Isotope, and the founder of Isotope, Jose, told me that this is one of the rarest models that they've ever produced. It's a 200 meter compressor style diver with a Sellita SW200 inside. Now the interesting part of this watch is that the 2 o'clock crown doesn't actually screw down. Instead, they used 4 gaskets to meet the 200 meter water resistance rating. Now you can't buy this model anymore because it's like 7 years old now, but I was told at the show by Isotope that they have a version 2 coming out very soon with some massive upgrades. So if you are interested in the version 2, then make sure you go and sign up to the Isotope newsletter. Now the very first stand that I headed to was Beaucroft. I have been a huge fan of this brand for a while now, and I've been speaking to the owner Matt for months about upcoming releases and just generally trying to support them as much as I can. Let me tell you, the founders of Beaucroft, Matt and Karim, are 2 of the nicest people that I've ever met. You can tell that they're proper enthusiasts and just love what they do. And it was so good to finally get hands-on with their models. The Senate is the watch that I originally featured in my British watch brands video earlier last year. In person, this watch is beyond beautiful. I was so impressed with how the hands almost appeared from nowhere, like they're part of the dial construction rather than just telling the time. Now the Seeker is their newest model, which I did feature in a video a couple of weeks back. The case construction on this watch is breathtaking. The bridged connection of the lugs is something that I didn't see from any other watch brand, with the underside featuring a satin finish, which makes the watch look super slim on the wrist. Now I won't say too much about this watch because, well, Matt's lent me one to review on the channel soon. Now no spoilers, but this watch is goddamn beautiful. Matt and Karim, pleasure to meet you both, legends. Next, I headed to Alkin and got hands-on with their compressor diver. This is a beautiful dive watch and is seriously one that you should check out. Charlie, the owner from Alkin, is also super nice. He runs the entire brand by himself, and that's just so impressive. I then got hands-on with this GMT by Monro. This is their first ever release, and oh my, is it fantastic. This 44mm watch looked great on my tiny wrist because of the wired lugs. I've also got one of those in for review, so keep an eye out for it. I then handled a couple of watches by Pinion. Instantly, I was attracted to their Nomos Explorer styling, but with a bold use of colours and plenty of detail. One of my top finds of the show was a brand called Clemence, and these guys really did nearly steal the show. These were 37mm Garda watches that had the best sapphire crystals at the show. The quality of the bracelets on these watches were just insane. Then I finally pushed my way to the front of the Christopher Ward stand. I got hands-on with some divers, but obviously had to see the Bel Canto in person. It's beautiful, and that chime is just ridiculous. Now Isotope was a must-see for me. You can instantly recognize their designs because they look like nothing else at the show. Their divers are so fun and quirky, but their field watch-ish range is the one for me. This bronze and brown model is pure sexiness. I then visited Neil over at Duckworth Prestex. They had this super cool limited edition piece for the show that sold out very quickly, which said British watch and clock makers on the dial replacing the numerals. Super cool. And it's always good to see Neil He's a northerner, so I've got a lot of time for him. Now finally, I got round to Studio Underdog, which was probably the busiest stand of the day. The pizza is certainly a lot of fun, and I even snagged a wrist shot with Richard, the Studio Underdog owner, wearing his pizza. Pretty cool, eh? The field watch range is amazing in person. The dials just pop. But the Goofy Panda was my favourite. I need to get one of those for my collection, no doubt. But yeah, Studio Underdog is the real deal. Great watches. A brand called Nomadic was the next stop. They had two models that really caught my attention. A diver with vintage Rolex vibes, and a super fun pilot style piece with a textured dial. But the showstopper, the number one watch that stole my heart from the whole show, was this watch by Escudo. This watch is a bit of me, let me tell you. The bezel had some stunning patina, the blue dial was gorgeous, but the combination of the bronze bezel, steel case, and rich dial is sheer perfection. Unfortunately, this watch that I saw was only a prototype, so I have since been onto them begging them to make it, and when they finally do, I'm all over it. The rest of their collection is also super beautiful. They have a Tudor vibe going on, but a true homage that makes them unique, and you could seriously feel the quality in these watches. And fairer. So impressed with their incredible use of colours and shapes. They had watches in almost every style too. Chronographs, pilot's watches, compressor divers, but their popular GMT is the one that I had to check out. The colours popped in person. I can see why everybody loves them. Now I handled tons more watches at the show by loads of different brands, but we'd be here all day talking about them, so I decided just to feature my favourites. But I will leave links to all of the brands that I've talked about today down in the description. This video is in no way sponsored by any of these brands. I just want to see all these people succeed as much as possible because they're all such nice people. And I will undoubtedly be adding a lot more British watches to my personal collection this year. Finally, thank you so much to everybody who came and said hello to me at the show. It was so surreal to finally meet some of you in person. It sort of made all of this feel real. I just potter around in my attic all week and mess about with watches, so meeting so many fellow enthusiasts is just the coolest thing. I hope everybody enjoyed the show and hopefully see some of you at the next one too. Bye for now.